You know, every great civilization has a founding myth, right? A story they tell themselves about where they came from. But what if that story was a carefully constructed lie? We're about to dig into one single event that splintered into two completely different legends. For one world, it was a tale of heroic sacrifice. For another, it was the secret beginning of their entire history. This is the Thexius Exodus.
So, everything kicks off on this world, Thexius, with this creeping sense of dread. At first, it's just little things, small tremors that rattle the cups in the cupboard. But it didn't take long for things to get worse. The air started to taste like static, like right before a lightning strike. And pretty soon, everyone knew. The massive mountain at the heart of their valley was dying, and it was planning on taking them with it.
All right, so first, let's dive into the official version of events. The legend that's literally etched in stone. This is the heroic story every kid on Thexius grew up hearing, a tale of unbelievable courage in the face of total annihilation.
The person who broke the bad news was the master engineer, a guy named Muman Kudari, and he stood before the ruling syndicate and laid it all out in these calm, chilling terms. The mountain's energy core, it was going critical. A rupture wasn't just possible, it was coming. And when it went, the blast would pretty much vaporize the entire valley. The end was on its way.
But there was one desperate last-ditch plan. Basically, a suicide mission into the mountain's core to try and stabilize it from the inside. A call for volunteers went out, asking for the planet's absolute best engineers, the builders, the architects, the resonance specialists, and 600 of them answered that call, ready to literally march into the jaws of death.
The mission itself was simple, but unbelievably dangerous. First, they'd have to march into this valley that was already glowing with weird energy. They even started calling it the Valley of Death. Then, get inside the mountain's core, deploy these experimental harmonic stabilizers, and just hope. Hope it was enough to save their world. To everyone watching, these 600 were already legends.
And imagine this. The syndicate is watching from the cliffs high above, and they see exactly what they feared. The engineers march into that storm, and then chaos. The sky just tears open in a blinding flash of blue light. A column of pure energy rockets into the clouds. And then, when the light finally fades, there's just silence. The engineers are gone. But the mountain is quiet. It's stable. The official story is that they did it. They succeeded, but paid the ultimate price.
But here's the thing about that heroic story of sacrifice. The one they built monuments to? It's not the whole truth. In fact, it's not even close. What really happened inside that storm was way more complicated, and it had been in the works for 7 long years.
And this is where the whole official story just completely falls apart. That crazy storm, that wasn't a natural disaster. And that blinding light, that wasn't an explosion. It was all a show, a huge, elaborate piece of theater designed to hide something so much bigger.
See, this was never a last-minute crisis response. The truth is, for 7 years, the founders, Mu, Nelson, and Faraday, had been secretly planning a great escape. They had built a gateway to another world, our world, Earth, and had been quietly moving people and supplies through it the entire time. That cataclysm, it was just the cover story for their final mass departure.
So how do you fool an entire planet, especially the all-seeing, all-knowing syndicate? Well, it took more than just guts. It took absolutely brilliant engineering, a whole lot of audacity, and one piece of revolutionary tech hidden right under everyone's noses.
And this was the key to the whole thing, the resonance arch. It wasn't a spaceship, it was a doorway. Mu had figured out how to use harmonic frequencies to basically connect 2 points in space across different dimensions. To anybody watching, a person walking through would just vanish. This arch was their escape hatch, and it was hidden inside the very mountain that was supposed to kill them.
This right here is the heart of the whole deception. The legend says they were martyrs marching to their death. The truth? They were pioneers walking towards a new life. Those big crates they were carrying, they didn't have tools to fix a dying mountain. They held the seeds of a brand new civilization, everything they'd need to start over, far, far away from the syndicate.
So this single event, this one massive lie, it created 2 totally different futures. On the world they left behind, that lie became a source of inspiration, a legend. And on the new world they found, the truth became the foundation for everything.
It's this incredible split legacy. Back on Thexius, the threat just disappears, and the syndicate builds this enormous monument to honor the 600 heroes who supposedly died saving them all. Meanwhile, on Earth, those very same 600 engineers are stepping out of the arch, blinking in a new sun, and getting to work building their new home, a settlement called Python.
Python was designed to be ignored. I mean, on the surface, it just looked like a simple little village. Stone huts, workshops, nothing special. But that was all just camouflage. Because underneath, they were building this massive network of advanced labs and tunnels, housing all the technology they brought from Thexius. This tiny, hidden colony would quietly spark what we would later call our first industrial age.
But the plan wasn't quite perfect. As the founders pulled off their incredible escape, they knew they were taking one final massive risk. They weren't just bringing their friends and their tech with them, they were also bringing their enemies. That final group that stepped through the arch, it wasn't just 600 loyal engineers. The real number was 628. Hidden in plain sight among the pioneers was a small but very dangerous group of infiltrators who had no idea they were about to be exiled to another world.
They were called RATS, which stands for Resonance Arch Translation Syndicate, a group of 28 secret agents. They had volunteered for the suicide mission with a very different goal in mind: get inside the mountain and make sure the stabilization effort failed. They thought they were being so clever, but they were walking straight into Mu's real trap.
And here is the craziest part. The founders, Ma, Nelson, and Faraday, they knew exactly who the spies were. But think about it. What could they do? If they exposed them, the whole escape plan would be blown. So they made an impossible choice. They let the spies walk right through the arch with them. They welcomed their enemies into their new home, because making sure the Exodus succeeded was more important than anything else. So, when you boil it all down, that heroic charge of the 600 that defined a generation on Theseus, it was a masterful illusion. The Exodus was actually a secret 7-year-long evacuation to Earth. A brand new world was built on the foundation of that deception. But as we've seen, they brought the seeds of an old conflict right along with them.
And that leaves us with a really powerful question, doesn't it? They escaped. They built a new world from scratch, which is an incredible feat. But they did it through a lie, and by knowingly bringing an enemy into their new sanctuary. So what happens next? What kind of society can you really build on a foundation that is, at its very core, a beautiful, necessary lie?